Welcome along to Strategy Guide time. Yes, it is Friday. It is Strategy Guide for this week's Grand Prix event. Hopefully you've made it through the qualifying round on Wednesday and Thursday, or if not, today is your last gasp effort, so make sure to get through for the F1 Clash Nightmare Fuel event. So if you have already qualified, great. You should already know that we have some Max Verstappen boosts this week, as well as Jackie Stewart. And of course, we have some Fury and Descent, which is your boosted parts. So always make sure to check those drivers and parts when it comes to entering your GP and racing. Now, of course, sponsor task this week is massive. You need to go and check the sponsor task because race points are crucial. And of course, the boost you're all fighting for come the weekend is Ghoul Fuel, which is a really good boost for those overtaking and power unit circuits. So you already know that, you should do, because you've watched our qualifying guide already. We're going to head over straight away and take a look at some of the circuits that we've got coming up this week. Now remember, you can find your sponsor task in the sponsor task section, making sure that you've always got that sponsor task ticked because you need them extra points. So we have got then a trip to Abu Dhabi in the dry. You've had that in qualifying. We've got Canada in the dry, Singapore in wet conditions, which you've had in qualifying, Zandvoort in the dry, we've got Bahrain again, Shanghai, Las Vegas, and a rounding off to Abu Dhabi in the dry. So we're going to go through 7 tracks because Abu Dhabi features twice. And the best way I say to everybody who watches these strategy guides is to watch this in advance, get it into your head as to what you're going to do for the weekend's racing, and then come back at the racing and watch my strategy guide, watch Abu Dhabi, and then race Abu Dhabi. Watch my strategy guide on Montreal, then race Montreal. Them people who do that get the best points, honestly, so make sure to do it. We're about to dive into strategy guide. We're about to cover all things like boosts, strategies, we've got DRS, where to push, where to conserve, even what drivers and car setup now. It is a big guide, and of course it all becomes down to your level. So I will recommend strategies, I will recommend setups and drivers, but it all comes down to what sort of level you are running. So please do check your levels before going to use my sort of advice, let's say. So we start off in the strategy area and we're heading off to Abu Dhabi. So this is a overtaking and power unit circuit. So overtaking and power unit. Overtaking drivers, power unit setup. Now your strategy is pretty much a 2-stop unless you're racing around in Champion, where you convert to the 1-stop, which is a very good strategy as well. So they are your key tyre managements to be able to get those strategies as well. Now if I move my head out the way, you're going to see a list of drivers who are good at overtaking circuits. So you can see Hamilton's in there, Behrman's in there, you've got some Hadjar, a bit of everyone, but they are your recommended drivers for Junior, Challenger, Contender and Champion. Now, of course, then we've got the boost selection above my head. We've got Unstoppable, Ghoul Fuel, Dragon, Rooster, Glitz, Skull, Impact and Taurus all feature both overtaking and power unit. If you don't have one of them boosts, then make sure to pick either one in your inventory of overtaking or power unit. Your map is in the middle though. You've got the back straight for DRS usage. That is absolutely key. And obviously conserve down the straights where you haven't got DRS. Now we are going to bring up our power unit setups for Junior, Challenger, Contender and Champions. So again, this is all down to what levels you have. But these are some of the setups and parts that I recommend if you was to go ahead and race this circuit. All the way through to your Contender and your Champion. So you will see some controversial stuff in there. Like Champion, you'll see me run Flex instead of Curler. That is just all by design. That is all just how I prefer to race and I feel I am faster with it. So it's up to you if you want to go ahead and use it. Now next up then we have is Canada. So Canada in the dry, and let's bring up that circuit. Overtaking drivers, so same as the circuit we've just been at Abu Dhabi, but you need to change your car setup. This time you are going for a cornering setup, so make sure to change that one. This circuit predominantly features a 1-stop, but 2 stops in the early series for a couple of your drivers. In the later series, like Contender and Champion, even Challenger actually, you're going to be doing a strong one-stop with the recommended tyre managements. Now, you've got obviously some good drivers. You should have seen that from the previous Abu Dhabi. And of course, we have got the same. Hamiltons, Behrmans, Hadjars all feature across the Junior, Challenger, Contender and Champion range. And the boosts, Cranberry, Glitz, Ode, Herald and Cuppa. Now again, if you haven't got any of them boosts, they are the ones that have both of the track stats. Try and find a boost that has one track stat. Now your guide in the middle, back straight and the home straight for DRS. Conserve on that if you don't have it available and attack through the corners. It's a good start, a good track to score some points at. And let's bring up your cornering setup then. So here we go. We've got your Junior setup for cornering. We've got your Challenger setup right there as well. Your Contender setup. And finally, we have got your Champion setup for those cornering of Montreal. So that's what I'd be expecting to see you running. Same parts, but again, just make sure that you are happy with the parts that you've got. Just always check that first. And now, we move on to our next circuit then. So we have this in qualifying. You should know how this works by now. Singapore in wet conditions. So, race start drivers. It's a change in driver lineup for you here in Singapore, and power unit setup. So you want to go back to that power unit setup you had at Abu Dhabi. Now we're heavily featuring the two-stop in this circuit, 222, and in Champion you can do a one-stop with 85 tyre management. Now if you saw my qualifying guide from Champions, or even my qualifying round, I struggled, and 85 was the key number I needed. So do take awareness of that. Now your drivers here in Singapore, race start of course, you've got Alonso featuring quite a lot, Behrmans in there as well as Leclerc, and yeah, there's some good drivers, so do check your Junior, Challenger, Contender and Champions. Now of course this weekend we do have Legends available, but I don't like to really comment too much on Legends because they are not easily accessible, so also check your legendary drivers as well of course. Now, above my head, we have got Surf, Frost, Gladiator, and a Rooster and Instinct that feature both Race Star and Power Unit. Now, in the middle of your track map, 2 places to use DRS. You can also use it on that third blue spot down the back straight, but it is a tough circuit and you can get very unlucky with your race start. The setup is the same as Abu Dhabi. You've got your Junior setup in here for you, some of the parts you want to look at. Your Challenger setup with some of the parts. Remember, race points is key for your parts as well, or drivers, Contender. And we round off then with Champion setup. Again, you can see the flex coming in for Champions instead of Curler. So, Singapore in the wet. We've done it in qualifying. You're doing it again at the weekends. And now we head to Zandvoort in the dry. It's nice to have this circuit in dry conditions because usually it's pretty wet here. Defensive drivers, so a big change to drivers. We enter defensive drivers for the first time this weekend. And of course, cornering setup. So the cornering setup goes back to what it was in Canada. We have got 8 laps, pretty much a one-stop circuit. 2-stop in the early Junior, unless you want to try a 4 hard. But predominantly, it's a one-stop strategy with your recommended tyre management levels. Now the drivers, defensive. You've got your Junior, Challenger, Contender and Champions. You've got to see Jack Doohan features quite a lot. You've got some Verstappen in there. Even some Alonso making an appearance as well. Now your boosts, at top of my head, there is quite a few. The handlebar you're not probably going to have access to just yet. But you've got Cranberry, Reindeer, Hook, Movember, Jin, Sar, Prince, Downforce all feature both defense and cornering. If you don't have them, try and find a defense or cornering boost to help you. In the middle is your track map. Home straight is the best place for DRS. 2 spots in the middle for conserving power unit and attacking through the corners. The setup is the same as Canada. So you want to make sure that you are checking your parts, checking your drivers all the time when you're racing such circuits. But they are your setups, and rounding off with Champion, setup for Zandvoort. And they were going to get you in a very good place indeed. So, Zandvoort flickering through. It's done. We can now move on to our next circuit. Again, one that we had in qualifying. You should be well equipped for this one. Bahrain in the dry conditions. Tyre management drivers. So, a big change to tyre management. You want them drivers now in, and the power unit setup. So, you're going back to Abu Dhabi, Singapore setups right now. predominantly features a 2-stop strategy around here. When you get to champion, you can do other strategies like a 4 soft. You need around 90 tyre management in that, but we don't include that sometimes on the maps because we want you to take part in these videos. You can also do a 4 hard in contender as well. That works quite well, so do have a look at that. But the 2-stop is usually pretty quick on quick tyres, but champion 4 soft, 90 tyre management required for that one. Now in Bahrain, your drivers, you have got tyre management, so you've got some Stroll in there, some Albon in the early junior challenger series, and then going out to contender and champion Bortoletto's. Norris features quite a lot. Hamilton is in there as well. So do check your drivers to see which ones have your highest tyre management. The boosts, Frost, Dragon, Pretzel, Iron Force, Butterfly, Dead Fast. The brand new one, Pumpkin, is going to be good around this circuit. Surf, and then 2 free ones, Instinct and Self Control. Again, really good boosts around this track. Middle track map, home straight and the back straight for DRS, and attack through the corners. If you don't have DRS, simply conserve. And we go back to your power unit setups again, so it's exactly the same as Singapore, Abu Dhabi. So make sure you should be familiar, but always change your setups per track depending on if you need to. So they are your Bahrain covered off nicely. And now we can move on to your next strategy guide, which comes from China. So we move to China in the dry. We've had this in wet conditions quite a lot recently. Overtaking drivers, so back to the same as like Abu Dhabi, back to the same as Canada drivers. You have got overtaking here at Shanghai. Power unit, so you should be using the same as what you used in Bahrain. That should be nice and easy. 7-lap race, featuring a 2-stop in junior and challenger, and a 1-stop in contender and champion. Now the drivers, of course, you want to be going for these, which is, again, Hamilton featuring quite a lot. You know you're overtaking drivers by now, but they are your junior, challenger, contender, and champion drivers, as well as we have our boosts. Unstoppable, Ghoul Fuel, Dragon, Rooster, Glitz, Skull, Impact, and Taurus, all featuring both overtaking and power unit as well. We will show you the setup before we run through the track map, but as you can just see on the track map, it's the back straight for conserving power unit, but it is the best place to use DRS, and the home straight can be used there as well. Make sure to attack in the corners, conserve, or go to medium through the middle of the track. But DRS, if you've got it, of course if you're in junior you don't, but it's so powerful down that back straight. And then in race number 7, we move on to another circuit that you had in qualifying, Las Vegas in the dry. We've obviously done race 8 already, Abu Dhabi, but now we move on to overtaking drivers and a speed setup here. So drivers are the same as what is in China, but you need to change your setup to now a speed. It's a 1-stop race, 6 laps. They are your recommended tyre managements for the 1-stops that you need to do in each part. Now your drivers overtaking, not a miracle. They are the same as what we've just been through. Your Hamiltons, your Behrmans, some Hajar in there too. So make sure to pick your strongest overtaking drivers. And of course your boost this time feature both overtaking and speed. Unstoppable, Eternal Flame, Hex. We've got Fireworks, Skull. And then on the bottom row we've got Eclipse, Impact, Street Shark, Taurus, and the free boost of Warrior. All feature both of the track stats. Now in the middle, you have got your track map, 3 long straights for DRS. You can also conserve down them straights if you need be, and attacking in the corners. Now the one thing that people told me in this GP for Las Vegas, why are we using Exhale, or why are we not using Exhale instead, and we're using Aeroblade? Well actually I prefer Aeroblade because I don't lose too much speed, but the DRS is so much more powerful and recharges quicker that I can almost use it 2 times a lap. So it is insanely good around here. You can use Exhale if you wish, by all means, 10 extra speed or whatever level you've got it at, for example for me. But for me, Aeroblade can work really well, and it gets you pretty much 2 DRS a lap, which is massively powerful. But have a go and see how you get on, of course. So that is your strategy maps covered with our brand new setups, our brand new drivers included as well. and I really hope these guides are fulfilling everything you need when it comes to a GP F1 Clash perspective. So this week, good luck at the Nightmare Fuel event. Hopefully you're going to have a blast. Leave me a comment if you're enjoying these brand new guides as well, and fingers crossed we're about to get you a superb result through the weekend, because guess what guys, last weekend saw the free-to-play account get its first ever P1 medal with one of the second hardest results on the game. So following this does help, and you can absolutely get some big results.